Dark Empaths Part 2. Now, I was thinking about how I could give you an example of what we're actually fighting, because obviously it's a spiritual battle. It's to save the integrity of the human being. All people like to do at the moment is save the integrity of governments and the diabolical, heinous way in which we are being told we have to live and what we have to be subject to and what we have to just bow down to and agree with and just indoctrinate. It's all absolutely horrifying. It's horrifying. So the spiritual battle is very much underway and has been since I think the dawn of man even started. So why is it that some of us live a life where we're so aware of it that we can't ignore it? We see that we have an arduous life since day one, since waking up and opening our eyes and breathing. We have every adversity that you could think of that tests us in every absolute way, every essence of the way, what it means to be human. And despite all of those hurdles and all the detritus that we've had to, crawl through, we've always remained the best version that you can get of a human being. We will never hurt other people, no matter what was done to us. We will always hold our empathy and our compassion. They were the things that we understood were trying to be taken out of us, or we were trying to be ripped apart from. And we were just so adamant and just so resilient. We will not accept this. And very much so, like yourselves, I live more in my spirit self realm here on earth than I do the human. I won't indoctrinate the human way, hence why it's been very difficult. And maybe like you, drop the comments. Have you always felt like an outcast? Have you always felt like the wanderer? Have you always felt like you have to weave your way in and out of all of this horror, and because you refuse to be a part of it? And so every morning and every night I speak to the Most High, and I never say the word pray. We've got to get that out of ourselves as well, because pray and pray, two different same word, different meanings. It's sneaky. Don't use it. You just ask to seek counsel with the Most High. Or I simply say, can we have a chat? I just literally, honestly, it's beautiful, because you can do that with the Most High and the Holy Spirit and his gang, his family and everything. You can do that. It's always fascinated me when people say, you need to go through God, through religion and church and another person, another human being who apparently is closer to God than the rest of us. Bollocks. No, you can have your personal relationship, and that's another thing. Internally, you know this from day one, before you're even born. So does the dark empath. And so that's why they come for you straight from birth, because they understand you're going to be like Eve. Eve held profound confidence and love and protection in the Garden of Eden. And so the Bible will have you say that men were pure and women were just brought in and fucked everything up. No, that was not the case. Woman was there a woman's a nurturer. We call everything that carries a she, okay? So Eve was brought in and she was the protector. And the serpent comes in and tries to destroy that confidence, that knowing, that purpose that she has from the Most High. She has no qualms about who she is and what she's doing. So in comes the serpent. In comes now the fight. The serpent doesn't like this, and it's like, let me go and see if I can test her. Let me see if I can go and trick her. Let me see if I can go and persuade her. Let me see if I can fool her. So he goes over and he says, I don't suppose you'd like to take something off that tree. You test one of the apples. And he's like, I've never needed to. I feel quite content, quite comfortable. I just don't feel the need to go and do that. And the serpent got a bashing. So he had to go away and he had to think again. Well, that didn't work. She was very, she stands for something. She don't just fall for nothing. Oh, no. No, Eve knows herself. Eve knows. And she's very much connected to the Most High. Very much they have a deep relationship. And she's never had to worry about a thing until the serpent starts to challenge her and says, why don't you just go and take that and take this? And she says no, and it doesn't work. So the serpent has to go away, and he says to himself, she was more confident than I thought. Man, she's unbreakable. She's a total believer. What can I do? So What do you think? What's the biggest thing in humans today that gets them down and gets them in states of depression and makes them a non-believer, makes them cynical about the things that they can achieve? What are the two things? Fear and doubt. Fear and doubt. Never had it. Never had it. We were all confident. So the story that they give you of Eve is that she came in and she was the putrid one and set everything up, which is why it suits patriarchy, doesn't it? It suits it that the man gets to treat us like he does, because apparently we're supposed to be condemned because we are the devil. Well, we're not. We're the divine. We always were. And man doesn't like that because he felt that God was wrong. So this is why we have the spiritual warfare, because you have a mere human telling a God that he fucked up. And I don't think you should have made them. Oh, really? So you didn't want to? You don't need a companion, right? You just have a whole heap of men on this planet, all men. Yeah, cool. So the devil decides, get the serpent and get the serpent to put self-doubt into Eve. Can you see how that makes sense? Not Eve was a dimwit and came in and just fucked everything up. Yeah, and tempted poor old innocent Adam. Yeah, that's not how that went down. Eve was protecting it all. The serpent confronted her. She told him where to shove it. Just keep this simple. And he didn't like it. So then he had to go away and he had to put something internal inside her to make her doubt herself. When she doubts herself, he then comes back and says, why don't you just take that fruit off that tree and see what that happens? Or she's saying to herself, why don't I take that apple just to prove that God does have something for me and that I am loved, I do have purpose? Because suddenly she's got all these doubts. And I don't think she knew where they even came from. She's just suddenly got this self-doubt as to whether she was worthy or not. As soon as that happened, in it came. It started to break apart because Eve doubted that she had value in the eyes of God. Right. And then doesn't that seem to match perfectly with the male ideal dominant world, that Eve was the one that messed up, and there's their excuse for why they treat us like second, third class citizens, and even worse, especially for black women, but very much desired and sought after. Yeah, so we're to be used and abused, and that there spans out to everything. So now we use and abuse absolutely everything to do with humankind. Okay, even down to, so lost are we hurt the most vulnerable side of us, the children. And we expect to grow up to be a very bright, person-centered, really creative, civilized species. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. They want to break the whole idea of family and connection, and the connection with the Most High, the abundance that you feel, the need to always know that everything's taken care of and I need not worry. Yeah, that we have totally the opposite now, don't we? But that had to be put in, and it had to be then blamed on someone, and women got blamed for it. So therefore we were condemned in the Bible. All right. And they'll only tell you that Mother Mary, right, and Madeleine were just about decent enough. How dare they? How dare they? That's the spiritual warfare. And it's now spun out into everything. Everything is putrid. But before, that was not what was happening. Eve was very confident, very person-centered, knew what her purpose was, understood her connection with the Most High, loved it all, and was not once about to falter. Not once was she tempted, ever. And so, again, the serpent doesn't have enough power, and you never will have enough power when it comes to the Most High. You can't outdo the light. You can't. And so that's more of the spiritual side. This is why I wanted to really just get out after the rest of it, because it runs that deep. It goes right back to the dawn of man and woman, and when they first came into fruition. And when you read it like that, I hope that gives you a better insight into the actual warfare, the spiritual warfare battle that we are fighting. Anyway, it's coming up for the weekend. I do hope you like my content, so do like and follow. And for those that do, you know what I'm going to say. You're gorgeous, you're wonderful, you're wondrous. You were enough then, you're enough now, and Jah love. Oh, and tomorrow we're going to talk about masculinity.